All right, Craig. We talked about your snooker in the previous part there, but golf is massive, isn't it? There's a
Yeah.
huge interest in golf. Fields are huge. Prices are to match. Is that why you concentrated on golf?
Yeah, and there's so many tournaments as well. So like this week, you've got Live joining in this week, the controversial Live Tour. On top of them, two main tours, and I've not really been that interested in betting Live, but suddenly they're at a venue they've played out on the PJ Tour since 2007. They've got a load of players that have. It was a minor PGA Tour thing, and they've got some of them players on there now. So suddenly I've taken an interest this week, and you know, you've got so many ways of beating the market in golf. The truth is, there's a lot of golf tipsters, betters that have different ways of beating the market. Mine's, I like to think, unique because I kind of work it backwards and it's a higher variance. But
Go on then. Tell us where you start.
well, so then you kind of profile every player unless they're an older player that is just getting like a dead start, if you like. But anyone of any youth, you look into their background, kind of you make some notes, and you build up a database of what sort of courses suit them. Follow their junior careers, follow them coming through, and then you're ready for them when they turn pro. And so by doing that, you're already ahead of the bookmakers. You don't have to bet them in the outright market. Don't forget, you can bet them in a top 40 market, top 20. I mean, now this year we've got most of the bookmakers doing top 40, which has enabled me to keep variance a bit tighter. And so you've just got to profile them players, work out where they play and play well, and then that's why I work it backwards. At the top of the market, yeah, I am waiting for players as well. Players that play well at certain tracks. They're in form. That you can see that they're playing well. Their tee to green game is really solid, which is pretty much what you're looking for. And then you're looking for them to find the greens that they suit them. Because the green types in golf are massive. Players are suited by certain greens. Some players, is like past Palom this week in Mayakoba, it's slower, grainier type of green, and it needs an extra hit. And he's not playing it this week, but Victor Hovland has got one of the worst short games for a top player. But stick him on slow greens, he can give it an extra hit, and he's a lot more effective in chipping, where there's no pressure on him then when the greens are slower. So you have to kind of recognise the golfers will change with the environment.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I mean, everyone that's in these tournaments is a good golfer.
Yeah.
And they're all professional golfers.
Yeah.
So is there, how much difference is there in the top and what somebody that might be loitering around at the 501 mark? I mean, could you ever confidently say no possible chance and cross the load out?
When there's the older players getting a PGA Tour start that have been on the medical exemptions and stuff, you can pretty much cross many of them out. But I do keep half an eye on them because they might have been playing somewhere else, and you get the odd one that comes back and plays well. So I don't really like to give no possible chance. I love the mix of tours when you got all the young players coming through, because golf's a great leveler. On any that week, you've got. Anyone that's played golf knows that there's a fair amount of luck in the short term on them shots, and a couple of good bounces, a couple of bad bounces over the week can make a huge difference. And it's easier to get. You want to make sure you're always getting a higher price, or you've theorised that price you're taking on a player is better than their actual chance, and that. Different players have different proclivities. So, like, some players are really great in contention and can win. Like Max Homer currently at the moment. Stick him in contention. He loves it. He loves the fight. Makes the putts. And then on the other hand, though, some of the most profitable players on my golf betting have been the guys, the grinders, that just eke out the checks. The Charles Howells in America, I think he'd over $40 million playing for over 20 years, and I think he'd only won 3 tournaments. So in that time, he's probably played 600 events. Great player, but you're going to make money out of him betting him the place markets on the right weeks, because he's always going to play professionally. He's never going to get too down on himself about losing a winning chance. In actual fact, the weeks you get caught out on them sort of players is when they hit the front too soon, because then they can implode. So different players have different mindsets. I mean, I don't want to say priorities, because I just think it's the way sport works out. You know, I mean, a lot of people go on social media and say so-and-so is a bottler and all this lot. And I find it really frustrating being a professional sportsman. You know, they're making a good living playing a sport they love. You know, what do you do for a living? kind of thing.
Can you know, but golf is well known for people that have been flying and then they've gotten into the rough and they've gotten into the pond or whatever it is you call it.
Yeah.
Have you got the talent to spot when that is just about starting to happen?
Sometimes, yeah, you can see a player starting to crumble. Again, like, if I was watching a snooker match or watching a golf match, you can almost pick up on the body language. But also, you've got certain spots on a course that are quite difficult on the back nine sometimes on a Sunday. And there'll be certain shots that are fraught with danger. And, you know, it's at that point that golfer needs to put a perfect swing, a solid shot. You know, them great players throughout the years like Woods, Faldo, they would find that right shot at the right time. But you can kind of feel it with a lot of golfers that if they're going to fail. So, you know, betting wise on the exchanges, there's certain points where you want to be laying a golfer, you know, with a certain maybe couple of holes ahead, that if they're going to implode, that'll be it. And equally, you know, you might choose not to. You might think your guy's a strong closer.
But if they were a big price before the tournament, which is probably for a reason,
yeah.
Is it more likely that will happen to them when they suddenly think, oh my God, I could win this?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes, I wrote it in my book. You've got sometimes a player is so big an outsider that if they play so well that week at snooker or golf, and they keep that standard up, in the end, the higher ranked player cracks. And the greatest example of it in golf was Tiger Woods. You stick him in a fight with Phil Mickelson, Vijay Singh, the guys who were challenging him at the time, he beats them. When he come unstuck was when he was playing with Rich Beam, 1,000 to 1 shot, Y.E. Yang, and they're playing the week of their life. They're just enjoying it by the final day. They're just enjoying hitting the ball well. And that is when the top player can suddenly crack, because he suddenly then, that player keeps playing well, and that top player's got his usual expectations, but that lesser ranked player isn't blinking. He'd expect Mickelson or Vijay Singh to play to a certain standard, but you can't. And you see it a lot in snooker with Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's lost to an awful lot of really, you know, he lost to the amateur at the Crucible and what have you, because of those expectations, and in the end, they crack. They're more, a top player is more susceptible to a real rag in some ways than someone closer in the betting psychologically. So it's, but of course, then you've got the fact that it's a life-changing win for the other guys, so they often crack first in any case, and then the champion will go on and win. But if they don't, that is when you see the flaws in the Ronnie O'Sullivans, and even on Tiger Woods, that was the only time you ever really saw a flaw.
Right, now, is there such a thing as a golfer, let's say pipe and slippers, very capable, not really bothered about being the world champion, but he likes to finish in the money?
Yeah.
Potters around at the back, no pressure, has
Yeah.
a lovely day. I mean, are there players like that? And I suppose they're the place ones that you can spot.
They're lovely. I mean, Charles Howe was one for years for me. He's now gone to live, which is a shame, but he was getting older any case. You know, and you just love them types of players. Ryan Palmer's been one in recent years for me on the PGA Tour. You know, you get the feeling they're more comfortable not winning.
Do they know it though, do you think? Is it subconscious, or are
Yeah.
they just happy to potter around?
I would imagine they want to win, but they've become happy in their own skin. You know, when you're earning millions a year, you don't have to beat yourself up too badly. And then there is a point where if you do beat yourself up, you'll lose your game altogether. And so that keeps their game, they have a better equilibrium in some ways as a player than a player that's got big peaks and troughs. So, yeah, I mean, I just respect anyone. And but there's the odd ones that actually find that winning thread later on in the career. You know, they can still find it. And because they've obviously got the game, they keep getting up there. You know, and it can be unlocked by a psychologist. You know, someone that breaks that mental cycle of helping them stay in the moment.
So when you're looking at these matches now, you've been doing it for years,
Yeah.
so you know these players inside out.
Yeah.
So is it now more a case of looking at each venue and then picking out the players that have got nuances for that?
Yeah.
And that's your...
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of your work is in your head already.
Yeah.
And recent form's not necessarily a good thing.
No, and I think you need to, for me, my edge really is, one of my edges is preempting the sportsman's frame of mind that week. His frame of mind would be better if he's suited by where he's going, like I said, the travel. And preempting, you know, he might have had an event in his life, he might have become a dad a few weeks earlier. Things equally. You've heard, like, I get the whispers in the snooker circuit if things are wrong for people in personal lives. You know, and you know, like, you've got players with great big peaks and troughs as well. Those are the players to really follow in both sports, because when they have a trough, their rating goes right down. The bookies just want to take money, they're going to keep them going. But if you can spot when that twig and they find something again, then you've already got them. They're already in front of the bookmakers. And, you know...
Give us an example of what that might... Something that you might see that might trigger you to think, this bloke's on the turn here.
Right, so a good one is snooker. I was watching the Championship League the other year, and John Higgins has been really struggling with himself. And the Championship League is a convivial tournament on telly where the players really mix. And he was trialling out a new cue and a new cue action. I could see he was hitting through the ball beautifully. I could see he changed something. And he was loving it, playing well. And I know what it's like as a sportsman. When you think you found something and you're playing well, you're loving it. And so I followed him in the... he was going to the Masters next. He was 20-1. And backed him each way. He made the final. And then he made 2 more finals straight after. And you can see that change in a sportsman. Another good one at snooker this year is Sean Murphy, but he's even better because when he goes on a decline, you can almost back your great aunt to beat him because he's just declined so badly. He's got no B game, if you like. He plays quite an open attacking game, and that's his strength. That's his weakness. When he's winning, that's his strength. That's what makes him unplayable. But when he's going to lose, he can lose to everyone because he just leaves them in the balls.